My name is Pellens, 36 years old. I'm from around Antwerp, Belgium. I studied at Columbia University, the School of International and Public Affairs, where I obtained a Master's of International Relations. After having worked a couple of years in South America in development, I decided to strengthen my knowledge of development theory and international relations. So I was looking for a program, a top program in this field that at the same time allowed me to get another cultural perspective on this topic. And given the US own particular viewpoints on international relations and the good reputation of its university, an application to a US university was a logical choice. I applied to two universities, Johns Hopkins University and Columbia University. Both offered programs in international relations through well-renowned public policy schools. And both of them were located at the centers of international policy making. So both of these factors, the location and the good reputation of a program in international relations, were determining for my application. I could give one suggestion to Belgian students wanting to go to the US, that is to take into account in their application the reputation of the university. Because education in the US is as much about the name of the university you buy as it is about the quality of the education. The application process for graduate school in the US is of course quite time consuming, both in terms of the administrative requirements as the preparation of personal statements. A tip for the Belgian students may be that they should, if possible, try to get the advice of an American graduate student when preparing their personal statements. We as Belgians were not that used of bragging about ourselves when preparing a personal statement, and you really have to sell yourself in such a personal statement. Personally, I had the chance to have a close friend of mine, an American friend, who was prepared to read and comment on my personal statement. And she herself was a recent graduate of one of the schools I applied to. The visa application process, of course, involves some administrative burden, but overall it went quite smoothly. I think as a Fulbright grantee, you really benefit from the good contacts between Fulbright, the embassy, and the US State Department. I bought the Princeton Review practice book. This was very helpful, particularly for the list of vocabulary that this book includes. The GRE, that is the verbal reasoning part, includes a lot of hardly used English vocabulary, and you really have to study to get to know these words. One suggestion when doing the GRE, make sure you practice against time, particularly for the math. The math itself is not of a very high level, but completing the questions in a limited amount of time is quite challenging. I financed my studies with several sources, a Fulbright grant. I also received a scholarship and an interest-free loan of the Ferdinand Lazar Foundation, and I also used personal resources. During the second year of my program, I received a fellowship of my university, of the School of International and Public Affairs. And last but not least, the strong euro contributed a lot to make my studies financially feasible. So the Fulbright process was relatively straightforward, although like all grant processes, it requires a lot of administration and interviews, but I recommend everyone to try it. The Ferdinand Lazare Foundation is a little bit the same process, but it didn't require any interviews, but it did require personal statements and, of course, all the administrative details about transcripts and resumes and references, of course. The Ferdinand Lazare Foundation offers interest-free loans, but it also offers some scholarships that are quite substantial. One is given to a Flemish candidate and one is given to a Francophone candidate. The Fulbright grant was quite important. On the one hand, it financially helped, although the amount of the grant was relatively small compared to the total cost of the studies in the US. On the other hand, there are some non-financial benefits. For example, I received, when being in New York, a lot of invitations to social and cultural events. Also, it helps to smoothen the visa application process. And in the US, Fulbright has a very good name, so it may open some doors in the US. For me, two highlights of my experience at Columbia University stand out. First of all, the diversity of fellow students coming from all over the world, from every background possible, was very inspiring and contributed considerably to the quality of the program. And second, studying at Columbia University in New York has a lot of dynamism to it. There are events. There are events and debates being organized continuously. High-quality speakers pass by almost every day, and classes require active involvement. On top of this, you're living in New York. So all of this makes that you get a huge boost of energy while doing this program. I hope the US university degree will help me to access international organizations working in international development. Until now, I don't have any results in that field yet, but I can say that the program has offered me very valuable contacts from students coming from all over the world, which I can contact whenever and will be definitely useful for the rest of my career. Hoewel studeren in de Verenigde Staten misschien veraf lijkt en moeilijk lijkt, is het toch zeker de moeite waard om het te proberen. Alles is mogelijk en je profiteert er ongelooflijk van. Het is een ervaring die je nooit zal vergeten.